Hello again, everybody. It's Donato Rufo here with you for my second thing. I want to thank everybody. I got a lot of nice response from my first installment on gravy versus sauce, and so this is installment number two coming at you. We're going to call this one "Hoagies and Heroes and Subs." Oh my! And this one is a special request. I wasn't expecting this, but people began giving me ideas. So we'll give this first one, we'll give a shout out to Ben E. Davis on my Memories of Wilmington Facebook site that I frequent. And so he asked about hoagies, subs. So I did a little research from what I didn't know already because I know a good sub growing up near Union Street in Wilmington. But I looked up a little bit, and I thought I'd give you a little history here for these wonderful sandwiches. Now, before we start getting into the weeds here, you got to know that there's great debate on this as well. This is a very regional thing. In Philadelphia, you got one thing. In New York, you got one thing. And Connecticut chimes in. And even Delaware is involved in the mix. So it's very regional. Don't get offended. If you're from Louisiana, I'm not even going to talk about a po' boy today. I do enjoy the po' boy, but we're not going to go there tonight, all right? So we got lots of regional things, lots of pride. The thing is, when these sandwiches were made, nobody was writing down history here. They didn't think that they were making culinary history. They were making sandwiches, for their loved ones. Let's go here with the word. You hear me say sandwich. I don't say sandwich. I don't put a D. I put a G. Because, again, for me growing up, my father, when he was making one of these things or he wanted me to go pick one up, he called them a sandwich. So I grew up thinking that was the Italian word for sandwich, sandwich. And so I called it a sandwich. So there's a G. If you listen, there's a G. So let's start with hoagie. One of the easier ones, really, historically, Philadelphia's 23 miles from where I'm sitting here. And so the legend goes, of course, Hog Island. They had a big Navy yard up in Philadelphia in the turn of the century, and part of that area it was a piece of land called Hog Island. And the Italian workers, their wives, would make them a sandwich to bring to work, and they needed things easy to eat with protein, carbs, everything put in one easy package. And so you get your Italian cold cuts, your gabagool, your prosciutto, your cheeses, nice hard bread, and the workers, the Italian workers, that's what they brought, and the history goes that's where it gets its name from, Hog Island, and that's where the hoagie comes from the naval yard. That's kind of a clean history there. The hero, a little bit funny there. That is mostly a New York term. Okay, that comes out of the Big Apple. Again, these all kind of get started in the late 30s, early 40s. They all kind of pop up, ironically, interestingly, at the same time. So the word hero gets attributed to a woman named Clementine Paddleworth. And she wrote for the New York Herald Tribune, a paper. She had a food column. And she was talking about these big sandwiches that the Italians were making, and how you had to be a hero to be able to eat it. And so that's kind of a cool little story. Clementine Paddleworth is supposed to have coined the phrase hero sandwich. So sub is, again, even a little bit more interesting. Submarine sandwich. Some say it comes from New London, Connecticut, where there was a naval base again, where they built submarines, and again the workers at the station, the workers at the sub thing, their wives were making them these subs, and they were bringing them in, and that's where that term, submarine sandwich, looked like a submarine tube with the meat and the cheese. And some say the word sub is a derivative of that. And again, New London, Connecticut would like to take the honors on that. However, in some further research, I found that the term sub submarine sandwich does not appear in any literature, etc., from the Connecticut area. It first appears in a 1940, what is January, phone book from Wilmington, Delaware, from Union Street, the street that I grew up on. And so that is the first written use of the word submarine sandwich from Wilmington, Delaware. And of course, down here in Wilmington, Delaware, we generally call them a sub. If you go to Wawa, you use the word hoagie because they're out of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. New York, you still hear a hero sandwich, North Jersey, Bergen County. That brings us to grinder, which I'm going to throw in. Once again, Italian dock workers. The name, the sandwich that they brought to work, their nickname while working on the docks were grinders. This is also from New England, Connecticut. And so their sandwiches assumed the name grinders. Other people say that it got its term because of the hard bread, the hard pieces of meat, the hard cheese was hard to chew. And so you had to grind your teeth. So several interesting stories about quite a historical sandwich. And so again, whether you call it a sub or a submarine sandwich, if you want to be fancy, or a hoagie, or a hero, or a grinder. Grinder also generally heated. That's the other thing. Subs, hoagies, cold. Grinders, someone said, oh, let me put this in the oven and it will make something new. So grinders can typically be a hot sub, which is a thing. So again, I'm always the peacemaker here. Whatever you want to call it doesn't really matter. It's a great sandwich. Everything's in one, easy to deal with package. I've been known to eat a half at a red light. Nice boom, boom, boom. Light changes, boom, you keep going down the street. So submarine sandwich, subs, whatever you want to call it, enjoy. Again, I'm lucky enough on Union Street. I grew up with Capriati's, which starts in Wilmington, Delaware. Now you can go Vegas, probably Utah by now. They've branched. Yahtzee, great sub shop. Even my family's place, Gerardo's Pizza. People used to talk about the sub that my mother and my aunt would make for people. So I grew up with good subs. I know a good sub. And of course, they start with Italian meats and cheese. Today, you get a turkey sub. You can get for the vegetarian people. They do the meatless sub where they got all kinds of greens. Tuna sub. So like other things, they kind of grow, they change. But that's the little bit of the history of the sub, the hoagie, the grinder, the hero. No matter what you want to call it, it's a great sandwich. Please visit me again. I made that page. What do I call it? Rufo's Social Studies class. Or you can put in Social Studies with Rufo. Either way takes you there. So I'll have 2 up, and I got a couple more already lined up in my head. I'll put a couple of these out, and please, I love that people enjoy them, and I enjoy messing around with it. It's fun. So you take it easy. It's Friday over here where I am now. Have a great weekend. Good night, and remember, eat a sandwich. Okay? All right, take it easy, huh? All right, I turn off now.